This is the story of this CD I'm holding in my hands, and how the off-the-cuff decision to buy it changed my life. It was the summer of 1997, and I had just graduated from HPA here in Waimea. I was getting ready to leave for college in Oregon, and so I decided to stop by Bird's Audio, our beloved former local record shop, to pick up some CDs to bring with me for this new adventure. I don't recall exactly what I bought that day, but I'm pretty sure it was something from one of my favorite bands at the time, possibly the new Radiohead record or the new Rage Against the Machine album. I went up to the counter to make my purchase, and like I usually did, I started talking story with the owner, Bruce Bird. And he asked me what I had planned for that summer. I explained I just graduated from high school and I was getting ready to fly to Oregon for college. He checked out what I was buying and he asked, "Aren't you going to bring some Hawaiian music with you?" I looked at him kind of quizzically because for me at that point in my life, yeah, I'd hear the Ka'au Crater Boys on Kappa radio, or I listened to the Bradas jamming down at the beach, but I wasn't into Hawaiian music. It was just something that was all around me, so why would I be using up valuable real estate in my CD binder, if you remember those, with some Hawaiian music? But Bruce Bird was someone whose advice I always trusted. So I listened to him and said, "Sure, what do you recommend for me?" So he flipped through the Hawaiian music rack and said, "Okay, you gotta take this one." And that was this CD right here, the Waimea Music Festival live album. Little did I know how impactful this album would be for me. In those first gloomy, cold Northwest Oregon months, the songs on here would transport me right back home to Waimea. During my first semester away, I must have listened to that album every single day. And on my most saddest of days, I would always turn to one song, Hi'ilave. At the time, I didn't know what the words meant or the story behind the song, but the soulful delivery of the words by Gabi Pahinui and the rhythmic pulse of the kiho'alu guitar moved me in ways that I'd never felt before. The music had mana, and for the first time, I was making deep connections to this mana through music. Over the next 5 years, I would spend hundreds and hundreds of hours playing along with a full assortment of Hawaiian music albums, many of which I'd purchased on my first trip back home to Waimea, my freshman year of college, where I spent about $150 at Bird's Audio. I would pour through the liner notes of the CDs, researching the poetry, the mo'olelo, the history of all the songs. A song like Kaulana Napua inspired me to learn everything I could about the illegal overthrow and annexation of the Hawaiian kingdom. The mele Kaule'ili motivated me to understand the daily life of the Paniolo of Waimea. And a song like Pu'uanahulu moved me to gain an understanding of the different place names of North Kona. But all of this book knowledge I was gaining couldn't prepare me for the experience of having the opportunity to play these songs with one of the few remaining living legends of the old style of Hawaiian music. After completing college, I returned home here to Waimea. At this point, I had this deep desire to explore this newfound connection with the music of Hawaii. I was fortunate to have a friend from high school who also moved back home, and so we'd get together to kanikapila on the weekends. We'd thumb through our He Mele Aloha book, the Blue Book, and play our favorite Gabi tunes. One night, he invited me to go out for some beers at the Waimea Ranch House to go see a local musician, some guy named Brada Smitty, who I heard was Gabi Pahinui's nephew. What I experienced that night changed my life in a similar way that the purchase of the Waimea Music Festival CD did. Walking into the bar that night, I was struck by the loud clanks of the beer bottles, the laughter, the animated discussions of everyone in the room. It felt lively, spontaneous, and exciting. I knew I was witnessing something that I wanted to be a part of. Over the next few months, I would attend Brada Smitty's weekly Friday night Pauhana show, as well as the Sunday open kanikapila sessions in which everyone from the community was invited to join in on stage and join the large jam sessions. Eventually, I mustered up the courage to jump into the kanikapila myself. I would sit so far off to the side of the stage that it blurred the distinction between the performers and the audience. But one Sunday, I arrived a little earlier than the others, and Smitty instructed me to sit next to him on the coveted chair, right to the side of him. This was usually reserved for the most skilled musician, who was given that difficult task of taking all the leads or the pa'ani sections of the song. This was a crucial moment for me. It was time for me to demonstrate that all those years of practice, all those weeks of showing up to sit in on these jam sessions resulted in a comprehensive knowledge of the large repertoire of songs that Smitty would play during any given 3 or 4, sometimes 5-hour sets. To pull this off, you had to be nimble. You had to be ready to play any song in any key or in any rhythm or any structure depending on the mood of Smitty at the time. I don't remember much about that particular afternoon's kanikapila, but I do recall that after we were done, we packed up all the gear and the guitars, we'd made our way through a few cases of Bud Light. Smitty asked me a simple yet very loaded question. "Hey boy, you get one palaka?" I didn't own a palaka shirt, but of course I replied in the affirmative, "Yeah, sure, uncle, I get one." He instructed me to meet him and the bass player at a particular address a few days later to join him at a private party that he had been hired to play for. In that moment, I felt I had arrived. I was blessed to play with Smitty for the next 3 or 4 years before his death from cancer at the young age of 60. Sorry. I won't lie, that was one of the most challenging experiences of my life. Mentorship in the Hawaiian way is not easy. His instructions are simple. What I play, you play. What I know play, you know play. During that time, I had the opportunity to play with many of the people I admired through my youth that I only had the chance to listen to through my stereo. Ledward Ka'apana, Dennis Kamakahi, Sonny Lim, Jerry Santos, Melvin Lead. And even the highlight for me, playing with someone I admired more than anyone, the legendary Hawaiian music, Eddie Kamai. And it's true, you can look it up on YouTube. There is video of that. And through it all, Uncle Smitty challenged me to play from the heart, to play with feeling, and to always make sure I played music that was Hawaiian. He encouraged me to tell my story and to tell the stories of this place. He never created distinctions between me and him because of my white skin or Hoʻale background. He understood that I had a love for Hawaiian music deep within me, and that I was dedicated to perpetuating this music. After his passing in 2012, I began to explore my own ideas and stories through song. At first, I wrote about typical topics like love and heartbreak, friendship and loss. But it wasn't until recently that I discovered my own songwriting voice. I'd begun to reflect more deeply on what Smitty had told me about telling my story of these places and my experiences growing up here. The last 2 albums I recorded are firmly rooted in my love for the people and places of Hawaii. I wrote a song honoring beautiful Wailea Bay, about my time living on the beach at Ohaiula in Kauai as a young boy, or a song Ha'aheo na Kanaka Paniolo, a song honoring the life of the Paniolo. Recently, in 2022, I recorded a song that is a culmination of my journey, a narrative woven from all these memories and experiences and these lessons along the way. The song takes us back to those lonely nights in Oregon, listening to Gabby on my radio, of sitting along the Pacific coast, staring longingly across the sea to my island home far away, of days yearning for the evening because I just wanted to go to sleep and dream about this place I miss so much. It's an honor to share this song with you all this evening. It's an honor for me to be on this stage with all the wonderful storytellers you've heard from and Kobe, who we'll hear from in a little bit. As a young boy, I never quite knew where I fit in this place. Excuse me. I don't surf, I don't dance hula, I don't grow kalo, but I play music. I write songs. I tell stories to the mele that flow through me from all the great songwriters of the past. And so with that, I'd like to share with you, I'm going to play for you this original song I wrote called Ho'ale, I'm Coming Home.
I recall the days far away from my island home, playing Gabby's Lovey on my radio. It's all I had to keep alive this distant fading memory. Playing songs on my ukulele deep into the night, tears forming waves as they'd well up in my eyes, and overwhelming urge would take over me to go. Hoʻale, I'm coming home. Hoʻale, I'm coming home. Spent my days searching for things that I couldn't find. Scanned the far horizons with Hawaii on my mind. Days felt long, yearning for evenings when I could go to sleep and dream.